So we're just going to jump right into the really good, juicy stuff. I learned something in talking to these guys that I didn't know about because I do documentaries and sports, although I don't know why it's not in sports. It really should be. It is called Disgrace Coverage. And when I heard it, I was like, we have to talk about this. It's so salacious and fun. But I bet you never thought you'd hear that in an insurance panel. Salacious and fun. So we know that there have been a couple of things that have happened recently, mostly Roseanne. And I want to have you guys talk a little bit about the disgrace policy and its disgrace coverage. And Bob was actually the one who created this policy. And so he can tell you, Bob, can you just tell us a little bit about what it is and
Sure.
what really was the catalyst to why you thought this was necessary?
Yeah. Well, in 2009, one of the networks came to me and said, Bob, we've got 2 shows. I'm not going to mention the names of the shows, but we got 1 show in the can, 10 episodes. It's complete. It hasn't aired yet. And we've got another show where the star of this was unscripted television reality, where one of the contestants was like a quarterfinalist in the show, same person, and that individual had basically brutally murdered his wife, and then fled to Canada and committed suicide. And they said, we can't air this. We're not going to. No way in the world, do we support this kind of behavior? So what I did was, at that particular time, I sat down with an insurance company and said, look, besides covering under the cast insurance policy the perils of death, sickness, or injury, I want you to cover disgrace as an insured peril, okay? And we added that to the policy. In addition, cast insurance normally covers through the completion of principal photography or through the completion of a production. And what I did was, for unscripted television, I said, look, you've got to cover the risk of cast, in case they die, until the show airs. So those are the 2 major changes I made to the television industry, and over the last 9 years, we've probably insured about 4,000 shows and provided disgrace coverage. Well, what is disgrace coverage? Disgrace means any criminal act or any behavior, act, or offense against public taste or decency committed by the covered person, or any situation or occurrence directly involving the covered person which degrades or brings any covered person into disrepute or provokes insult or shock to the community and reflects unfavorably upon the insured or the insured production or its principals or products, which could be its advertisers and so forth. So you've seen a lot of, sexual harassment type claims or assault and battery type claims. These are the kind of things, anything that's disgraceful. I mean, it could be murder, it could be anything. So
That's kind of disgraceful. That's pretty disgraceful.
Anyway, that's what disgrace coverage, and it protects the studio or the network for their out-of-pocket costs in the event of abandonment of the particular show, because they said we can't do it anymore. And it obviously excludes any acts or behaviors that are generally known in the covered person's known public persona. So if somebody had a reputation for spousal abuse, that obviously is not going to be covered moving forward. Who's covered under disgrace insurance? Do you want me to talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Disgrace insurance, can't be written on anybody. There's about 6 insurance companies that write entertainment insurance that have an appetite for this. Some of them don't want to provide disgrace coverage on anybody that is charged with a felony. Okay, I look at it a little bit differently, because in the entertainment industry there are felonies that people can get charged for but not convicted. So the way I write the insurance is I only exclude anybody that's convicted of a felony. Also, there's 2 carve-outs to that, which wouldn't eliminate people from being eligible for disgrace coverage. One would be if they are driving in the possession of, driving under the influence of alcohol. So, I mean, that can happen to anybody. And the other thing is if possession of drugs. Not selling drugs, that would be excluded, but just being possession of drugs, that wouldn't eliminate them from coverage.